Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Get your coffee. It's Monday morning, and I'm on vacation. Okay, so this is Mohamed requested. He donated for this. Piers Morgan versus Bassam Youssef. Am I saying the last name right? I mean, I don't see it being any other way. Okay. I went back about 15 seconds. That was video.
It's like whatever. Even like at a certain point, I actually had like private security, and then I told them I can't. I cannot live like that. If that's my destiny, if I die, I'll just die.
You end up with your lawyer saying you got to get out of it. You got to get out of Egypt. It's getting too dangerous.
Yeah.
Something bad's going to happen. You're going to get arrested again and probably thrown in jail, or someone's going to try and kill you. And you flee to Dubai, and then you end up here in America.
Yes.
Was that always the plan, to eventually come to America, or was it expediency because of what happened?
Well, it's funny that you said that because I visited the United States after the first year of my show. And a doctor that's there, an Egyptian doctor, has been there for a while. I said, listen, Bassem, you are very visible in the media, and I think you can use that to apply for a green card as a special talent. And I did. And it's like, I have like a huge show in Egypt.
It's actually the criteria, because I have the same.
Yeah.
Is an alien of exceptional ability.
Yes.
Is what they call you.
Yes, we're very...
Charmingly.
Yes, we're very...
I didn't know that. I didn't know we had that kind of exception. Huh. Yeah, then bring us your best. That's what we want.
Exceptionally able aliens.
We are, but we're still aliens.
Yeah, yeah. I know, it always makes me laugh. Like, you can come here, but you are an alien.
You're an alien, but you're exceptional.
Yeah.
And I just applied for it, and I got it. I got the time 100. That helped bolster my application. I said, maybe I'm not going to use it. And then when that happens, ooh, the green card came handy. So a lot of people think that I'm here on asylum. I'm not. It was just a strike of luck.
You now do stand-up. You've done it for 5 years. And fascinatingly, you do some of it for an Arab audience.
You have a whole show in Arabic and
an English-speaking version.
Yes.
And they're probably very different, right?
Totally
because
different.
Different sensibilities, different humor, different crowds, different expectation.
Yes. Well, when the Arab audience come to my show, they expect that's going to be another version of my show that I did in Egypt. And I said, no, it's my personal story. And when the Arabs come to my English shows, like they think it's like an English version of the shows. Like, no, it's a different story. Even then, this weekend, right before I met you, because of our interview, I sold out Arizona.
Really?
Yes. And I stood, and the first thing I said, like, who here came because of the Piers Morgan show? I was like, I was like, boy, you're gonna be disappointed because this is not about that.
But isn't that amazing? I mean, that shows the power of that interview.
Yeah.
Resonating even in Arizona here. Amazing.
Yeah, because I don't want to succeed just because of a trending moment of time. It is the same show that I've been working and perfecting, and like any stand-up comedian in the United States, your dream is what? Is to sell your special to platforms like Netflix or HBO, and you want to get there. Because for me, that was like a rebirth. Because I thought like everything was lost. I came here, I had nothing. The first 3-4 years, it was terrible. The first 2 years I was doing stand-up. Oh, I bombed hard. And I went home crying. I said, like, I'm not gonna make it. And then suddenly I have already a tour. I mean, even before our show, I already had a set tour. And now I'm having like this ability of like talking to people with different languages, talking to all these different languages. The show that I did in Arizona had an incredible mix of Arabs and Americans.
Amazing.
And they came here and they completely, and there a lot of them came, they were Palestinians. And they came with like the Palestinian flags and the keffiyeh, and they thought, it's like, guys, it's like the way, laughter, being good at your job is in its way a way of resistance. Because when you laugh, when you show people that, hey, we have Arab people here, and they are, by the Arabs and Palestinians population in Arizona, one of the most established population in the United States. Arabs in the United States in general, they are like professionals, doctors, engineers, professors. Even the Uber drivers, they are probably were like an engineer or someone very established there, but he had to have like a step down in order to come here and survive. I mean, we hardly come find like illegal aliens here from, or people like came in that were not qualified. So, and this is the problem of, this is why the reason people were very happy with our interview, because because part of the hate on both sides is that we see the news from a different perspective, and people here see the news from another perspective, and everybody's like, why are those people reacting like this? Because they don't see what the other person sees. And I hope in that interview that we can bridge that gap.
Yes.
You'll never get that gap bridged in the U.S. under the main media, because everyone is slanted in some way or another. Like Fox News, far right. MSNBC, far left. Newsmax, far right. CNBC, left. CNN tries to be in the middle, but they find themselves, I'm going left, but it's going right, so we'll go this way. It finds itself tap dancing more to the left. But it tries not to go too far, but still, it rarely dips its toe into the right. It stays primarily on the fence. That's the closest right it's going to get, and it does skew left. Every single media source does it. And it's sad, because even when we get the old Walter Cronkite, gone before I could ever really remember him. Cronkite's the only one that's really coming to me. But some of the journalists that would present the news really were fair. But as time goes on, it seems like you have to pick a side. You can't be on the fence. You have to pick a side, and that's not fair, because not everyone is going to pick a side over here. Because I try to be on the fence, but I do lean more Democratic. But there are things Republicans do that I'm for that, because I think that I'm not 100% for my party. I'm not 100% for the other. Against the other. I think that there's common ground. But unfortunately, not everyone does. Everyone looks at it like it's a team. Whatever my team does, my team's right. And it just gets stupid and ugly. And it's like that around the world, I'm sure, in varying degrees.
Before we end, can I
Yes.
show? Okay, so this is a gift from me and my wife. This is olive oil from the West Bank.
Ah,
Whenever I go to Jordan a lot, but my wife also ask for the oil from the West Bank.
it's very good.
It is the best oil ever. And the thing is, the olive trees, they survive up to 600 years. And they are passed from one generation to the other. And
Side note, I know what the U.S. kind of does with olive oil, but what do you do with it overseas? Do you dip your bread in it? Do you cook with it? Is there very different kinds of olive oil that, one is a cooking, I know there are, but one is a cooking, one is for maybe spreading over bread or dipping bread or a cracker into it or something like that. What do you do with it? About 2011, 2012, I started having these weird jittery feelings, and I found out that I'm not diabetic. I'm the opposite end. I'm hypoglycemic, so I get low blood sugar. And I listened to the Mayo Clinic and did some stuff, and I started taking 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil every morning. And the monounsaturated fats in it helped. It helps with blood sugar in your body, helps maintain a normal level. I did that for 3 years, I stopped. I would say I stopped in 2016. So let's say I did it for 4 years. I've never had an incident since. So olive oil, extra virgin olive oil is something that I really, truly appreciate. But I use it more for cooking. But I was putting it on a tablespoon and just boop. So I guess my question originally was, what kind of oil would that be? I think I was using just regular cooking oil, not a finishing oil. Is that what they would call it? Where you could dunk bread in it or something like that. I've never done that. Always looks appealing. Olive oil is delicious, so it looks appealing. I've just never done it. I apologize to everyone who has.
It is like a family heritage. And the way that you do it, so this is za'atar. Za'atar is basically thyme, and you add to it sesame and a bunch of herbs. And the way that you eat that, you take like a piece of bread. We don't have to do it now, maybe at the end of the interview.
Yeah.
And you soak it a little bit in the oil, and then you take the za'atar. And I'll demonstrate here.
That does sound delicious.
And then here.
Do you have to do the sounds too?
I love it. Well, I love Arabic food. So at the end of the interview,
you're leaving with this oil. So
I will take that.
It's yours that.
Well, thank you. And it's very kind of your wife. Thank you. Thank you very much for me.
Well, I'm the one who bought it, but it's okay.
Obviously, you started the last interview with, I mean, I would argue savagely dark humor involving your wife. How you've been trying to kill her, and she was using your kids as human shields and stuff. And I'll be honest with you.
And I'm still trying to. But you know what? When I failed, you know what I did? I went out to the house and I just like randomly slapped other neighbors.
So, it's interesting.
By mistake.
Now this time I'm ready for you, okay? This time I'm ready for the humor.
Oh, you're ready, okay.
No, but it's interesting because last time I was very taken aback. And I remember thinking, as you were doing this right off the top, I remember feeling very uncomfortable, unusually uncomfortable, and thinking I didn't know how to react to that. I didn't know whether I was supposed to laugh or be silent, and I sort of ended up sort of slightly grimacing, half laugh and listening. And then I realized it was very powerful what you were doing. It was satirical, but it was savagely satirical and extremely effective. And that's why I think the interview did so well. But I'm not going to pretend that I found it easy to listen to it or to react to it, because I didn't.
You know why? Because all I did was just take the talking points that's been in the media, not just for after October 7th, all through the conflict. It's always like, we need to kill it. All right. You need to kill 5? No, kill 10. You need to kill some? No, kill all. This is what satire does. You take reality, flip it on its head, exaggerate it, and then you can see how sometimes very uncomfortable and even sometimes stupid that sounds. Because I was just reacting to whatever the media is telling me. It's like, oh yeah, okay, do it. There's no pushback. So suddenly, the person who's proposing the most extreme measures is like, oh, we'll take it, oh no, that's too much. So that was like a very simple technique. I just took the talking point and just exaggerated.
It was devastatingly effective, I think.
Yeah.
First, before we go any further, how is your wife's family? Because she is half Palestinian.
Yeah.
Are they okay?
They're good. They're good. They are safe for now.
Yeah.
As like the last week, there was no internet, as you have.
Yes.
You know, I saw you tweet at the IDF. It's like, how can they know?
You know how many views that tweet's had? Nearly 40 million.
Yeah.
Me just saying, how are they going to see this message if you've cut the internet off?
Yeah. I'm wondering if the IDF's like, why aren't the Palestinians liking my tweet? Because they don't see it.
Right. No, but I thought that was a perfectly correct assessment of it.
Yeah.
But the reaction to that tweet I did was enormous, as everything is in this thing. And I had a lot of people say, finally, Piers, you get it, right? Finally, you get it. And I wanted to say, listen, I'm trying to reach a place where I get this, but it's an incredibly complicated issue for someone who is not Arabic or Jewish to poke their head into. And I've had to cover it as a journalist for a long, long time. I think I said to you before that I was editor of a Daily Mirror in England when we opposed the Iraq War, for example. So, you know, I have taken stands on this thing. On this one, I find, and I'm going to be completely straight with you, I discussed this with Jordan Peterson this week, and he did a pretty incendiary tweet in which he said, give them hell, Netanyahu, enough is enough. And he was actually very self-reflective about that in the interview we did this week, where he later issued a 20-minute video because he said sometimes a one-line tweet can be unnecessarily inflammatory to people. Much better to take time to explain it. Here's where I've got to with this conflict now. I viewed what happened on October the 7th as an absolutely appalling atrocity, a terror attack of unimaginable horror.
I will agree with that. I believe that Israel was attacked. So my stance in a nutshell, and I do get mostly one-sided news, which I can't trust everything. And a lot of you will send me things, but I can't necessarily trust that either. I can hear it. I can hear both sides, but I'll never truly know. And I'm so far away from it that, it'd be like if something happened across the street. You might listen to what I'm saying, but what I'm telling you is a one-sided version because it affects me a certain way. You know what I mean? I think that this is all I go by. Hamas attacked Israel. I view Hamas as a terrorist-like organization from everything that I know. Granted, everything that I know is from the U.S. media, who doesn't have a relationship with them. So it would be skewed one way or the other. I'm speaking, shut your face. So it would be skewed one way. Israel is an ally to the U.S., so it's going to be skewed as well to back them. I saw Israel being attacked, and then I saw them retaliate. Yes, a ton of Palestinians were killed, and that's terrible because they had nothing to do with it. They were just living their life. A lot of innocent ones just living their life. But I see Hamas mixing into that community and using them as a shield in a way, where they're going to launch attacks and they know that Israel can't really strike back. Now you could say Hamas has the right to attack them because Israel's a country that was carved out by other countries and they don't deserve to be there. Okay, that's a different discussion now. That's much like the United States shouldn't be a country because Native Americans lived here. Okay? Every country that exists today probably didn't start out as that country. Meaning the first people who inhabited the UK, they weren't British. They were probably different people, nomad people. And they were wiped out eventually in a war, or they moved or whatever. And then new inhabitants came through and boom, 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 it becomes England. That's a very generalization, but you understand, not every place started, not every country started out with those people. Those people didn't just plant a flag and say, this is us. For the rest of eternity, we live here. No, somebody else came along and took it over and wiped out a bunch of people, and the new people moved in, and now it's inhabited by different people from different countries, different languages, different religious beliefs. It's like that all over the world. So it's very difficult to say, well, they didn't deserve to be there because, okay, but looking back on videos that I do all the time, that region at one time was controlled by Rome. It was controlled by a variety of different countries throughout the times. And then you get into a discussion like that, which doesn't have an end. It's a constant, yeah, but, okay, what about? And that's what the discussions then turn into. Yeah, but, and what about? And the yeah, buts and the what aboutisms, they don't deal with that at hand. They sidestep to another issue. And unless people sit down and literally hash out every single debate without changing the course, because you're not going to win every debate. You're not going to win every topic. You're going to lose, and people don't want to lose. It goes back to what I said in the other video. People don't want to lose. They don't want to have their mind changed. They're right. And so some people who are affected by this are going to hate Israel. Israel's going to hate the people who attack them. And so me as an outsider, I'm just looking at this and going, I'm not getting involved because I don't know enough. What I do get is, I believe, skewed one way or the other. So as an outsider looking in, that's my only thing. It sucks. And unfortunately, it's something that's always going to happen because there are other countries that are interested in provoking that country. They're going to back one side. A country will back a side, and they will give that side weapons to attack the other, knowing that that side is backed by another country, and those two hate each other, but they can't go to war. So they have proxy wars. Look at the U.S. is helping Ukraine. So, and when I say other countries, I think like Iran helping Hamas, Russia helping Hamas or the Palestinians or whatnot, and then America's going to go against the other side. And maybe UK might help a little bit, or they might try to stay out of it. But you understand, it's a proxy war, and these people right here are the ones who are being used for that fight. And it's just the U.S. has done it, helped Afghanistan defeat the Russians in the 70s. So China did it to America during the Korean War, the Vietnam War. It is what it is. It just, unfortunately, countries are going to get involved to protect their interests. And that's all it is. That's their interest. You are valuable to me right now. The U.S. at one time backed Saddam Hussein and backed, was it the Shah of Iran? And both of them went to war with each other. And the U.S. was backing both sides and looked at it like, well, they'll kill each other, and then eventually whoever wins, hey, that's who we've always supported. That's why Saddam hated America, because he saw it. He mustard gassed the Kurds? And now I'm just forgetting. But anyways, he attacked them, and America was like, whoa, what do? You can't do that. And he was just like, oh, you backed me, I can do whatever. And America was like, that's not how this works. So, and then he went and invaded Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia was like, we're going to need a little help here. We can't have this going on. This is something we can all discuss, and nothing will change. Nothing. Unfortunately.
And I absolutely think that Israel has a right to defend itself from the people who committed it, Hamas. And I've questioned for the last 3-4 weeks, what is a proportionate response? And I have said repeatedly,
that's something also that I question, because I don't know what it is. If you fire a rocket and you kill 100 people, and I fire a rocket and I kill 30, you killed 100 people, 50 military, 50 civilians. I fire and I kill 30 civilians. Are we even? No. We're not even. But hopefully one rocket to one rocket, we can say, okay, look, we fired them, we're done. But one side's going to say, oh, we only killed 30? Fire 2 more rockets then. And then it's just the gradual uptick. What did I just say? I don't know what I just said or what I was trying to say. It's a gradual uptick. Is that right? It's basically one side trying to one-up the other. Does that make sense?
I don't know the answer. I want people who have a view to have a view about that. And I'll ask you again about where you think we are with this. I also acknowledge that Hamas live amongst civilian population in Gaza. And therefore, if you do what the Israelis are currently doing, which is a ground offensive into Gaza, a lot of civilians are going to get killed. And at what point does that become disproportionate or even illegal? And I don't know the answers to those questions. And I have a moral quandary, because my instinct is to say that Israel has no choice but to respond to what happened in a very forceful manner. I understand why they want to eliminate Hamas altogether. I understand that if they feel they can, then perhaps we can move to a two-state solution or peace or whatever it may be, although I don't think Netanyahu will ever be the person to do that. But the moral question for me is, at what point does this become disproportionate? And when you see thousands of children being killed in Gaza, it fills me with utter horror. And then people say, well, do you condemn it? And I find it very easy to condemn Israel turning off the water, Israel turning off the power. I think it's ridiculous that Israel should have that power over millions of people who are not part of their country. I think it's terrible what's happening in the West Bank with the settlers. I think that the stuff there is completely easy to condemn. But can I, hand on heart, condemn Israel trying to destroy Hamas after what they did on October the 7th? That is where I'm struggling to find myself saying I condemn it, because I believe that they are right to try and destroy Hamas. Now, what do you feel about my moral quandary?
Well, there is...
The only downside is, and I understand what he's saying, Hamas isn't wearing outfits that say Hamas soldier. No, they're blending in. So you could kill a soldier, a Hamas soldier, but he's not wearing identification. You know, he's not wearing his shirt, his ID. He doesn't open it up, and he's just like, my name is David Klingleberry, and I am also a Hamas terrorist. It doesn't say that on the driver's license. So you're saying that person was a terrorist or was a Hamas member, but you're also taking the risk of killing civilians. And, yes, you kill one civilian, that's one too many. But it's a tough topic, because I'm in the middle trying to see both sides. I know some people who are, Israel should just get in tanks and clear out the whole area, kill everything. And I'm just like, that's a bit excessive. That's a bit excessive. And then the other side that I get from people, and they're just like, we're getting killed and we have the right to retaliate. And it's like, Palestinian, we're getting killed, we have the right to retaliate. And it's like, I understand what you're saying, but the side that you're on, intermixed with you, fired the first shot. So they're blindly firing back, and you're the one paying the price for it, and it's not fair. It's just, there's no answer that can be given that everyone could agree on and say, no, that, you know what, that's fair. Everyone wants to be one better in the negotiating. And this is never going to go away in this region. It never will. It just won't.
There's a lot of points, very lot, and I think this will kind of like lay the ground rules for that interview. There is a whole thing about is the right to defend itself, the condemnation. First of all, let's start with condemnation.
Yes.
You want my opinion?
Yes.
Condemning Hamas or condemning Israel?
Yes.
Completely useless. Completely useless.
Why?
I condemn Hamas, you condemn Israel, interview is over. What happened? Nothing. It is just...
Yeah, the one thing that I understand the politics behind it. We condemn you for the attack. Okay. I feel condemned. Back to what I was doing. You're not doing anything. You're not sending a signal. What really did anyone who condemns the attack, whether it was Israel getting attacked or Hamas getting attacked or the Palestinians getting attacked, what does that do? Does that save the civilians on either side who are getting attacked? No. It's no different than in the U.S., there is a school shooting, or a shooting at a movie theater, or a shooting at a gym, or whatever. There is a school shooting, and all you hear, my heart goes out to, thoughts and prayers to the victims. What is it? That does nothing. Absolutely nothing. It is literally worth a wasted exhale of breath. My heart goes out to those people. As soon as you send, send on that tweet or whatever, you're going back to doing whatever you were doing. That was your moment to show them that you cared. And what did he really mean? Nothing. It meant nothing. When 9/11 happened, if any one of you would have been like, hey, Kris, thoughts and prayers, I'd have been like, thanks, it means nothing. Okay, though, appreciate it. If that was the best you had, okay. But it meant nothing. And I heard a lot of thoughts and prayers from people around the world. I even heard it from some relatives overseas. Thoughts and prayers. My heart goes out to you. First off, I wasn't attacked. The country was, but I wasn't anywhere near it. And people are like, I'm so sorry. And it's just like, don't say it to me. I had nothing. I'm getting sidetracked. I think I'm getting annoyed.
Just checkpoints, like morality checkpoints.
But I've interviewed a lot of pro-Palestinians, for example, some of whom will immediately say, I unreservedly condemn the terror attacks of October the 7th, and then go on to criticize Israel. And I think that's it's a position I can completely respect.
Yeah.
But I find it much harder to respect a pro-Palestinian guest on my show if they simply resolutely refuse to say that they can condemn the terror attacks.
Yes.
I find that less worthy of respect.
But you see, this is the problem with the news. We go into the circular motion of the same as one thing that I have noticed, not just on the coverage of these events, the events before and before and before. Every time this starts, people say, we don't know what's happening. It's a very complicated situation.
Right.
What is happening now? And for me, as a viewer, if a conflict that's been there for 75 years and the media with all this technology has been covering it and we hear the same exact words, we don't know what's happening. It's complicated. It's a very complex, that is a failure of the media apparatus. That is the failure to themselves and for the audience, because why every time this happens, it seems like it is happening from point zero. And I think to help understand that, I will get to the October 7th. I will get to the condemnation. I will get to the self.
So when I was growing up, I could hear about fighting in Israel and fighting in Palestine and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And then it passes. And then you hear again, potential suicide bomber. Oh, there was a shooting, then nothing. And you keep hearing it. It's like a faucet dripping. Bloop. Oh, there was something going on over there. Huh. Nothing. Bloop. Oh, wow, there was another attack. Huh. Okay. Bloop. Oh, look, man, they're fighting again. And this could be over months, years, decades, and you're just kind of like, they'll never get along. And then this happens, and people are like, I just don't understand what's going on. Yeah, you do. You're just refusing to acknowledge all the decades that you've heard all of this happening. What did you think was going to happen eventually? This. We don't know the ins and outs to either side as to how they live. Like he said, why Israel can control the water and the power to another country. Canada, I'm looking at you. How would you feel if we could just... Hold on, let me do it right here. Hey, Canada. Good luck. They don't have any power now. Canada's... People watching my videos from Canada, they're not watching anymore. Power. I just turned the power off. They don't got water now. They're gonna have to boil snow. That's ridiculous that one side would have that power over the other. I've been talking a lot on this one. I apologize.
But I think maybe we can do, we have like all the time in the world, and we can discuss this interview could be a bookmark, landmark for maybe looking at that conflict in a deeper way that nobody had gone there before. We
Yeah.
have the views, we have people waiting.
Yes.
You know, as I said, I'm the least qualified to discuss that, but it's an opportunity to use it.
I'm not massively well qualified myself.
Yeah, both of us.
I'm
Like,
a-
I mean,
I'm an
look at
Ir-
us.
I'm an Irish Catholic,
I mean,
right?
look at us. Yeah, two privileged people. One white, one white wannabe, discussing the most complex conflict of our history. But I want to start in a totally different area. I want to start with anti-Semitism.
Yes.
I think it's an important issue.
Yes.
I think there is a rise of anti-Semitism in the world, and I think there is. This is very dangerous. And I, as a Muslim, who has been through events where there were terrorist attacks somewhere, and that reflects on us. I can completely feel that. Since what happened, I had text message from the Jewish friends. Are you okay? Are wife's family okay? And I was texting them. Are you okay? And I think it is very important to agree on the language, because the word anti-Semite has been used and abused, and most of the time not for the good interest of the Jewish people. Because the first 2 days of the coverage, I watched the news, and there was a lot of protest that was led by Jewish Voice for Peace, and they were led by people who opposed the Israeli attack on the civilians. And I remember quite well, many of the Republican representatives in Congress came out and they were calling these the global intifada, the global jihad. I love it when they say jihad. They sound like a horse. Jihad. It's very funny. Or they say, like, these are, and I quote, Iranian-backed jihadists. And I said, wait a minute, but most of those people are Jewish. Those people who took over the Capitol, the same people who took over Central Station in New York, which is known as the biggest civil disobedience event in America in the last 2 decades, they were all Jewish. And then I find Nikki Haley saying anti-Zionism equals anti-Semitism. And then I remember, it's like, oh, Jewish people in America are saddened by the fact that they are not citizens of America or citizens of the world, but they are citizens of Israel, and they have to back Israel in whatever they do. And these are not my words; these are the words of Jon Stewart. He went out and he said, it's very, very important to divide these two. And what is very, very interesting.
Would you compare that on that specific point to the way that people try and say all Palestinians are responsible and accountable for what Hamas do?
Yes, yeah.
In other words, I think you can be very critical of Israeli government and their policies,
Yes.
and Benjamin Netanyahu and the politicians, but that doesn't mean that you have to take that criticism to innocent Israelis who may have exactly the same criticism themselves.
And this is why it is very important to have these kind of discussions, because the saddest thing that I saw is the people that were in so much support of Israel are anti-Semite themselves. MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene, you know, she said, like, oh, I send my aides, and they took pictures of the protesters. Basically, she's surveilling protesters. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is very known for a very famous post in 2018 where she blamed the California fires on a Jewish space laser gun. Do you remember that? Do you remember that? It's just like, oh, they were burned because Jewish investors, Rothschild and Feinstein, anything that ends with Stein, because that, of course, sounds Jewish, they put a satellite and shooting laser beams to... And not just her. You have Steve Skoulas, thank you so much. He is now the Speaker of the House, and he has been invited before for an organization that was funded by David Duke, the founder of the KKK. You have Kevin McCarthy, who is the former minority speaker, leader of the Republican Party in the House, and he accused Jewish billionaires of rigging the midterm. So how come those people are accusing us of anti-Semites? So here's the thing. So
Really?
let's go to the equation that Nikki Haley put on Twitter. Anti-Zionism.
Really? You're going to keep talking when I hit the pause button? All right. We're going to go back to that little flash We went a little over, but that's okay. I was talking a bit more, so I shouldn't have. I apologize. Sometimes I get talky. I get lippy. So I'm going to end this here. This is part 2. We'll get back into part 3 when I come back to do a part 3. I got to put up some solar lights, I guess. I'm told. Okay, so there's a thanks button. You can donate to the channel. You don't have to. There's a subscribe button. You can click on that. There's a thumbs up. That helps just as much as the donation on the... Why don't you shut up? Thumbs up button, though, does help a lot if you want to click on that. It helps with the algorithm. There's a bell. You can click on that. You get notifications of something involving me. I don't know. Probably whenever I'm going to do my live feed, strip dance kind of thing. And also, I'm going to pose a question shortly. It'll be a short. And I will have you in the comment section ask questions. It'll probably be for my 1000th video, but it might be posted a little bit after. But it's going to be a Q&A, and you can ask me questions, and I will answer them. That's a question and answer, so that's pretty much self-explanatory. I'm going to do a live show sometime. I just have to relearn how to work the OSB. I figured it out and then didn't do anything because I got sidetracked. But I'm going to do it, I promise. And last but not least, if you are somebody who does believe that this video deserves a thumbs down, then YouTube has this new game show, and it's called Can You? And then there's a big question mark. And so you get asked questions that don't make sense so that your answers are always incorrect. And every incorrect answer, you have to go, and a scab, a freshly picked scab is placed on your tongue, and you have to just go, and then you put it in your mouth, and you have to suck on it until it slowly dissolves in your mouth. Then, if you get a second question wrong, which you will, then 2 freshly picked scabs are put on your tongue, and hopefully there's no blood on them, you know, because that just makes it more of a, I guess it's what we would call a treat for you. And then you got to suck on those. And then eventually at the 3rd one, you have to start chewing on them. Oh, you ever had scabs stuck in your teeth? It's not delicious. So anyways, we're going to end the video here. Have a good day. Have a good night.